It has been so much fun and so, joyous watching all of my medicinal plant friends popping up in my garden, from the elecampane to the comfrey and the arnica. I love seeing these friends pop up. And if you are still trying to decide what to grow in your medicinal herb garden, you've got to grab my guide. It's all about the most essential herbs that every mom should know and should grow. So I teach you how to grow them and the many different ways that you can use them. If you want to grab the guide, go ahead. It's free, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of delight and use out of it. And there's a link to it in the show notes. I'm wishing you tons of happy medicine planting. Hello and welcome to the Herbalist Path, a podcast where you'll discover how to make your own herbal remedies at home so that you can take better care of yourself, better care of your family, and better care of our planet. I'm Mel. I'm a clinical herbalist, environmental educator, and mountain living mama with this crazy passion for teaching more mamas and their little loves how to use plants as medicine in a safe, effective, and tasty way so that there can be an herbalist in every home. Again, it's an absolute honor to have you on the journey down the herbalist path with me so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. Hello, and welcome to another episode on the Herbalist Path podcast. I am so very happy to have you here tuning in, nerding out on herbs with me. If you are new here, hi, I'm Mel. I'm a clinical herbalist, and I love to talk about herbs, and I love to help moms and families learn how to use herbal remedies in a safe and effective way. And I'm really jazzed about today's podcast episode topic. I wanted to come on and just chat a little bit about how we can use herbs to keep cool in the summertime. It is right now mid-July 2024 as I'm recording this podcast, and today was so hot. I had to drive around in the city, which just really reminded me of how hot it was. I live in the mountains, and my house is covered by trees, and I have a beautiful mountain river out my backyard. So while we do get a little bit of heat here, it's normally pretty darn cool in comparison to the summer or the city. And if I can't catch my cool, I go jump in a river. I love to float the river or to go rafting. That's one of my all-time favorite summer things to do. We actually just did last week, and it was me and my partner Chris and our daughter and her two best friends. And it was kind of like the closing of a week-long celebrating her 11th birthday. And so we decided to float a river that, pre-motherhood, and when I'd lived in the city about 18 years ago, I would go float this river 3 to 5 days a week. I am not exaggerating at all. If I had time, I was on the river. And I know this river really, really well. I love it. It's beautiful. And of course, it's a mountainous river. So the water fluctuates, and sometimes there's new obstacles and barriers depending on how many trees fell into the river over the winter season and whatnot. So I actually dumped the boat this time. I was coming to a section that I kind of had forgotten about, and the water was higher than we're used to. And I was coming to a section where the river was kind of colliding, like there was an island and now two sections of the river were colliding. And I had my daughter on my little inflatable kayak with me, and we hit that little part where it was colliding together, and it just knocked my boat right on over. And, we come up from underneath the water, and you're stuck underneath the raft, and it's pretty scary. And my daughter was definitely scared, and she did the right thing, though. I was so darn proud of her. For any of you that don't know, if you're ever in rapids or a fast flowing river, of course you have your life vest on, right? Because you're no dummy and you want to, save yourself and your life. But what you do is basically put your feet so they are going down river from you, and your toes are up in the air. So your butt is down towards the bottom of the river, your belly's facing up, and you just float on down until you get to a more calm part of the river. And I was so proud of Anira, my daughter, because she did exactly that. And I could see the fear in her eyes. She was definitely worried. She couldn't find me right away. And I was busy trying to make sure I had like the paddles for the boat and her, of course, making sure she was safe. And she was. Anyways, how did I get into my river story? I don't know, because I love to stay cool on the river in the summertime. That's why, right? But sometimes, there's people out there that don't have access to a river or time to get to the river or anything along those lines. So it's really wonderful that we can use herbs to help us keep cool as well, because there's a lot of things that can happen if we are not staying cool and being really mindful of that. Like, people can get heat exhaustion or a heat stroke. You may just get really tired and lethargic. Have you ever, kind of how I feel right now? Today I drove around the city. It was hot all day, and I'm recording this podcast, and I'm just like, I'm kind of sleepy, kind of mellow. I could definitely go for a nap or something. No, I'm not taking a nap. But yeah, when we keep ourselves well hydrated, keep ourselves really nice and cool, we can have more energy to go throughout the day. Your body and your brain perform much better, and you're more comfortable. Like, think about how miserable it is to be really hot. And one thing I do notice, like when everybody's in one hot area, I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Southeast, and you want to talk about hot and humid and crowded, and you would just see people get kind of bitter and angry and just ugh. And who wants to be that way? Nobody. Another perk to keeping cool and doing it naturally and using herbs to do that is you're going to save money on air conditioning bills. Yay, right? We don't have an AC where we are. We just open up the windows at night and let all the cool nighttime air in, and then shut them in the morning. And again, those trees that I have covering my house really do a great job of keeping it cool. And I'm lucky in the summertime, my office where I'm recording this right now is down in the basement. So I get to, stay nice and cool. So I also want to chat a little bit about, heat in the body and what that means. So when we have excessive heat in the body temperature is going to be above 98.6 degrees, right? When we get there, that could be a very clear sign of excessive heat. You could also see if somebody is just sweating a lot. This is the body's way of trying to cool down by releasing heat through the skin via sweat. Or they may not be able to sweat because their body is already so dehydrated. And so therefore their body can't find any more moisture or water to release through the skin. So that's when you're at a little bit more severe case of heat stroke, perhaps. You can look at somebody's skin. So think about when you get hot, I'm a pretty pale white girl, and I get really red in the face. Sometimes I'll get heat rash in my thighs will get heat rash or get really red bumps that are very, very itchy and really irritating. And I will try to remember to talk about ways we can take care of that as well. Another thing you might notice is they may just be really, really thirsty. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough water. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Or when you go to use the restroom and you're going to urinate, it can be very dark in color. And that's a sign that you are dehydrated and probably having excessive heat. You could see somebody might just be breathing really rapidly or have a very rapid heartbeat. They may get dizzy. They may get headache. headaches. And it's because heat can cause vasodilation. And as I've mentioned, dehydration. And that leads to symptoms like the headaches, like dizziness, like lightheadedness, or just maybe even being confused, or in a really bad scenario, somebody might even faint. Some people get muscle cramps. Some people just get really nauseous and might even vomit because they're too hot. I mean, we're really talking about extreme excessive heat here. Or again, kind of like I was talking about before, they just make it very fatigued, very tired, very lethargic, very just like, nah, 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 nah. So thinking of those things, recognizing those things, knowing how important it is to get somebody proper hydration and electrolytes and things like that is so incredibly important. So we can also, good news, we can turn to really tasty foods to keep us well hydrated. So things like cucumbers, celery. I love to eat lots of berries in the summertime. I'm really fortunate to be in Oregon, and the berries are just off the hook here. Pineapple, coconut water, eating lots of greens, get your great produce in that happens to be growing really, really well during this time of year. They're like, hey, we're here for you. And then there's a lot of herbs we can turn to as well to help us keep cool. One of them that I love a lot is lemon balm. And lemon balm just makes me happy in so many different ways. It is Melissa officinalis, if you did not know this already. And it's got this lemony fresh scent. It is really delightful. And it's actually known as nature's sunshine when it comes to uplifting somebody's mood or spirits, but it is also a very cooling herb, and it does help the body to release heat from sweating. So it is a diaphoretic herb that helps us to stay cool, man, stay cool. So this could be really nice for those of you dealing with hot flashes as well. And as I was talking about how people get a bit irritated and irritable when they are hot, you may turn to lemon balm to not only cool the body, but maybe cool your jets, man, like just to chill out in all the ways. So lemon balm is just a really great one. It is in the mint family. And since we're talking about mint, like how can you not love mint on a hot summer's day? I know there's a few people out there that are allergic to it or what have you, but I just love, 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 love mint. I love to add it into iced teas. Sometimes I'll take a little iced tea, iced peppermint tea, and I will put it into a spritzer bottle on a hot summer day if I'm going to go out and about, and I'll just spritz myself throughout the day. Sometimes I'll infuse some peppermint in witch hazel, maybe a little bit of glycerin or something like that to keep it in its space. Maybe just a tad bit of alcohol in there to preserve it as well. And I will use that as a spritzer to keep me nice and cool. Maybe if I'm really lucky, I can store it in the fridge, and that'll be really, really nice. I also love fennel. Fennel is a nice cooling herb as well, and it's what's called mucilaginous. So mucilaginous herbs by nature are cooling and coating and soothing herbs, and fennel can just add a little bit of sweetness to a blend of something. You can just chew on fennel seeds. You can add it to an herbal tea. You can, make the fresh fennel fronds and fennel bulbs and use them as your food in salads and things like that. And that could be nice and refreshing. It's also going to be really helpful for the digestive system as well. That's a really, really yummy one. I love to turn to elderflowers. Those are another great one, another diaphoretic herb. So it's going to make you sweat. It is also demulcent. So it's got very cooling and coating. Demulcent and mucilaginous can be very, very similar to each other. And elderflowers actually help to ease inflammation inflammation. And if we think about inflammation, we know it's hot. So if something is anti-inflammatory, we know it's going to cool something. And in this particular case, it can help to cool our bodies and our mucous membranes. Plus, elderflower drinks are usually, they can be really good in a nice tea, which if you're drinking that, it's going to help to cool the body because you're also hydrating the body, and it's going to reduce any swelling of any tissues. Like a lot of times people will get swollen and puffy in the heat. Maybe it's the ankles or the hands or the eyes or something like that. Turning to something like elderflower can be really nice. You might even want to use like a cooled elderflower tea if you do get the heat rash and those raised itchy bumps. Maybe just a nice little wash of some cool elderflower tea on those to ease some of the itchiness and the irritation and the inflammation. That could be a really nice sweet treat to give to your skin. Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. I love this time of year. It's spring, the sun is shining, and all of our beautiful plant friends are popping up. It's amazing. Unless, of course, you're one of the millions of people who suffer from seasonal allergies. You know, the itchy, watery eyes, the sneezing and wheezing that's straight miserable. Thankfully, there are some amazing herbs that can help you with all of that. Just like the herbs inside of Kick-Ass Allergy from Wish Garden Herbs, one of my absolute favorite herbal companies out there. Kick-Ass Allergy, yes, I said ask without the K at the end. Anyways, this formula has yerba santa, nettles, echinacea for that immune support, and orange peels, all which come together to help dry up those excessive mucosal secretions. Yep, I'm talking about the sniffles and the stuffy nose, the watery eyes, and all that jazz. This blend also acts as a great expectorant and can help ease the swelling and inflammation in those mucosal tissues. It is a top go-to for seasonal allergies. And get this, they combine all those beautiful herbs with glycerin, so it actually tastes pretty darn good. Or should I say, it tastes kick-ass, without the K at the end. Anyways, if allergy season is miserable for you and you want a natural remedy that actually works for those itchy eyes and being all sneezy and wheezy, you have got to check out Wish Garden Herbs Kick-Ass Allergy. And for those of you with the little kiddos, no sweat, they've got a kick-it allergy too. And you pregnant mamas? You don't have to suffer either. They've got a kick-ass allergy formula just for you. So head over to wishgardenherbs.com or check out the link in the show notes and go grab yourself some kick-ass allergy so you can enjoy spring again. Hibiscus. Hibiscus is another great one. Actually, for my daughter's birthday party, she had me make a couple gallons of hibiscus tea. She wanted to do a Hawaiian luau theme. And so we did have hibiscus tea, and it was a very cooling blend. I'm actually going to put the recipe in the show notes of this blog. So be sure to check that out. It'll be linked in this podcast blog / thing. I think I want to call it like a blogcast because I always write up a mini version on the blog and then link to the podcast. But I will put the recipe in that mini version. But in the written version, in a nutshell, we use holy basil, we use lemon balm, we used some mint. I think I used spearmint this time because I had an excess of it. I did cinnamon and a little bit of licorice root as well. And then hibiscus. I think that might be it. Oh, nettles. I love to add nettles in there too. And it's just such a delicious, sweet, delightful, flavorful, amazing iced tea. And what I'll do is just brew it up really, really, really strong. And then I can just pour that on top of ice as the day goes on, and it'll, dilute itself down by nature, which is pretty darn nice. But yeah, I love hibiscus because it is hydrating. It's a vasodilator. It is a very cooling herb as well. It helps to actually bring the body temperature down, as it simultaneously is a great thirst quencher. So if you're sweating in abundance and you're like thirsty and you're hot and you're tired and all that jazz, like hibiscus is for sure your friend. But if you're like me, hibiscus can be a bit too tart. Like you can taste that hibiscus is so potent in vitamin C, right? And for me, I'm just like, yeah, not so much. And that's why I bring in all those other herbs in there to help balance out all of the tartness of hibiscus. It's a really nice one to have balanced with other herbs, in my opinion. Some people just love it straight. And if that's you, awesome. Get you some more hibiscus, especially on those hot, hot summer days, right? Another one I love, it's actually the herb of the month this month inside of Apothecary Mama and the Kids Safe Herb Club. So if you want to do a deep dive on lavender, it has a lot more medicinal properties than being anti-inflammatory or soothing sunburns. It's also calming and soothing to the nerves when we are all hot, hot, hot and irritated. So, another one I will turn to. I'm gonna cut it off here soon because this is a quick one for me. But another one I love a lot is marshmallow and marshmallow root. And it is another one of those mucilaginous herbs. And it is really, really mucilaginous to the extent that it almost looks slimy. And if somebody I love or care about gets a sunburn and maybe their skin is peeling or something like that, I will do a cold overnight infusion of marshmallow root, and it creates this almost slimy kind of effect in what comes out of it. And I rub that all over my skin or somebody else's skin. And it is so instantly hydrating, cooling, and really refreshing. And it does a great job of just helping the skin to heal and repair from all of the damage that has happened there. So it's pretty amazing and so darn helpful and beautiful. So I really hope that just these quick little herbal tips are helpful for you. Make yourself the tea that is going to be in the blog cast of this episode, definitely linked in the podcast show notes. And then try and do like an herbal cooling spray. If you don't have peppermint on hand, maybe you have some peppermint essential oil and you can just do a couple little drops in some witch hazel with some distilled water and spray that on yourself. Thank me later because it is magical. I have taken this to so many places. Like I used to bartend or work a lot of events and it would be hot, 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 moving your body all the time, or outside there's dishwashers and steam things and you're moving, going, and it gets just irritable, right? And I would bring about that peppermint spray. Or when I was doing markets and things like that, or going to big events with Mountain Mel's, my old product line, we would use my Afterburn sunburn skincare that I've created. And it had peppermint in it as well. And gosh, oh golly, I would be like everybody's best friend because I had that minty freshness. So it's an easy solution to feel fantastic on a hot summer day. And I really hope that you just try it out. So I also hope that this is helpful and just gives you a few ideas and time to get get creative with what herbs you're going to bring on board, if you want to get even more creative and start formulating great blends that you know taste great and work great, that's what I teach you how to do inside of my program, Medicine Making Mommas. Doors are always open, and I am welcoming you in with big, loving arms. And, what I love about that, I've been getting a lot of messages from students just mind blown at how dark and thick and beautiful their medicinal oils are. They're like, oh my gosh, I can actually smell the herb that I infused in there instead of just a bunch of oil, or just seeing the drastic difference in the quality of the tinctures that they're making. It does make a huge difference how you make your medicine. Yes, I love to play folksy medicine too. That's what I did with that tea recipe, but I've also been formulating herbal formulations for over 2 decades, and I love it, right? And if you didn't hear before, I was a bartender. So before I got into clinical herbalism, so I've always had a blast just dancing the medicinal properties of plants with their flavor profiles. And now I love to teach other people to do that. And yeah, again, that's what we do inside of Medicine Making Mama. So if you want to take it to the next level with the remedies you're creating, I would love to help you do that. Just reach out to me on Instagram. You can hit me up via email at buddingherbalist@theherbalistpath.com, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you want to follow me. And if this episode was helpful for you at all, I would be so grateful if you reached out and let me know. If you leave me a review on your favorite podcast player, that helps other people find this show. And if you share it with your friends, because that's how we make herbalism spread like wildflowers. So thank you for taking these 20 or so minutes out of your day to nerd out on herbs with me. And I just hope that you stay cool, my friend. Stay cool. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Herbalist Path. Being on this journey with you is absolutely incredible. If you dig this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast player and share it with your friends so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. On another note, I must mention that while I know you're getting some good info here, it's important to remember that this podcast is purely for entertainment and educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. While the information in this podcast is absolutely relevant, herbs work differently for each person and each condition. That's why I recommend you work with a qualified practitioner, whether that be another herbalist, a naturopath, or your doctor. So thank you again. I am truly honored that you're tuning into these episodes and on the path with me to make sure that there's an herbalist in every home again. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends so that we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. Medicinal mushrooms are all the rage these days, if you didn't know already. And with great reason, because they are powerful medicine that can improve your health and your life in so many different ways when they're well made. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of stuff on the market that isn't going to be so effective. And that's why you need to find a brand that you can actually trust. For me, that brand is Whole Sun Wellness. And this is the creation of a brilliant woman and fellow mama, Jamie Bonfiglio. She's an international mushroom educator that has been working in the medicinal mushroom industry for years. And this is when she saw firsthand how many other companies take shortcuts when it comes to their products. And Jamie wasn't having it. She set out to build her company the right way. Whole Sun Wellness is here to raise the industry standards so those crap mushrooms on the market aren't getting into your body or your family's body. Whole Sun Wellness is the first company to test and report nutritional facts for all of their extracts. They go beyond industry standards every step of the way, from sourcing to extraction and final testing. And as the owners of the largest medicinal mushroom farm in the United States, Whole Sun Wellness is taking control of their supply chain for the highest quality and absolute full transparency. They're even the first company to include pure mycelium extract in every single product. So when you're thinking of getting medicinal mushrooms for you and your family, Whole Sun Wellness is exactly the ones you want. Also, be sure to check out their new mycolights. These are the world's first dissolvable electrolyte tablets. They're featuring functional mushroom extracts that'll give you more energy, more stamina, and recovery as well. And who couldn't use all of that? The other thing is, they are these adorable little mushroom-shaped tablets, and they come in like a little Altoids box, but way cooler than Altoids because they're mycolights. Anyways, head to wholesunwellness.com to grab yourself some mycolights and all of the other functional medicinal mushrooms that you and your family need. And of course, you can grab that link right here in the show notes now.